Okay guys, welcome back. We're going to do the inner door panel now, or as Volkswagen likes to call this, is the door carrier assembly. Now this here has the regulator built right here on this panel. It's riveted here and here, so if your window regulator goes out, you'll get this whole entire assembly. Now let me show you something here. The door lock assembly is right behind here. There was two plastic rivets that were broken off, and there was one right here. Now while I was investigating, I was looking at it, and then the thing fell inside, so now we got three of them this out. Alright, so I have taken the one off on the driver's side, and that's not too bad, replacing the window regulator over there. But this joker, this thing looks like it's going to be a bear. And I've done a little research looking on, forums, YouTube, seeing what's out there, and there is really not much out there. So maybe we'll get to see a very detailed thing here about pulling this here panel out. And so it's going to be a little learning process for me. I'm going to try to follow the manual, and we're going to go through here and see what. We may even have to go to the point of pulling the glass out, track. So it looks pretty involved here, but we'll take it as we go, see what we come up with, and we'll go on there. Alright, first thing, we want to get this here window lowered down. Alright, if you look and take a look right down in here. Now on the driver's side that I mentioned before, mentioned to you before, it's not too bad. There's two clamps up here up on this one holding the glass in. It's two clamps. It's got a 10mm bolt. It's got a 10mm bolt. Glass slides down into the clamps. You clamp it on. It's pretty easy to get to. There's two rubber plugs up here. You pull them down. You lower your window maybe about 3 inches over there. There's your bolts to release. However, back here on the back, Volkswagen decided to do something a little different. So come down here to the bottom. Now we have one plug. So I'm just going to pop this joker out. Now we got the window. What you want to do is you want to lower your window until you get this little white insert right there. You want to get it in the center of the slot here. Okay. Now here's how, from the best of what I can understand, how this thing works. Your window has a hole in it. There's a hole drilled in your window. And this is a two-piece insert. Now the one that's in the center is called the spreader pin. The one that's on the outside is called a spreader plug. Now the spreader plug goes through the window, right, from the back side, and it goes through the window, and then the smaller insert called a spreader pin gets pressed into the spreader plug. So it gets clamped together inside that hole in the window. Now, the window comes down, and when it comes down, there's like a little clamp, plastic clamp, and it has a hole, and it has a hole. Now you got to remember there's a little protrusion on each side of the glass where this insert is at. So it'll come down, and it'll snap in these two holes, one on each side of this here piece of plastic guide, I guess you could say, that's on the regulator, and when the window comes down, it'll snap in place, and that little insert is what's holding the window right there to the regulator. Now, according to Volkswagen manual, we should be able to screw a 5mm bolt into this here inner plug, which is called a spreader pin, and we should be able to pull that pin out. Then after we do that, then we should take an 8mm bolt, we'll screw it into the spreader plug, and then we should be able to pull that one out. I don't know how well this is going to work, so we're going to give it a shot and we're going to see. Alright guys, here's my 5mm bolt. Now Volkswagen says 70mm. I think this is about 60. So what you're going to try to do, if you see that hole down inside that inner insert called a spreader pin, going to try to get started, try to get some threads in this thing. Alright, I think it got it. Okay, it's going to be a 8mm socket. Okay, let's screw them in a little bit. Cut some threads into this here inner insert. Alright, I guess these should be in there now. Now the idea is that we're supposed to be able to grab this bolt and pull that insert out. Now I don't know how well that's going to work. Well, I think Volkswagen needs to redesign this procedure because that is a little bit tight. Alright. Let me kind of loosen it just a tad. Maybe the bolt just kind of help holding it in there. Let's see if I can get another hole on this thing. If I can get in there, maybe a wedge. Well, that didn't work. That pulled the bolt out. I mean, yeah, pulled the bolt out, but left the insert in. Let's try screwing this thing back in again. Alright. Get some threads down in there. And let me get right in front of it. That joker is in there. Alright, I got a pair of vice grips on here. Let's just see how that'll work. Whoo! Guys, this thing is in there. Let's see how we can get this thing out. Well, it looks like it may have moved about 1/16 of an inch. Okay. Slack off just a hair. Alright, look at here, guys. Now we can see what we got here. Alright. So it's got a split down on the side. Alright. And that's the way he went in. Looks like there's a little taper on each end, so it looks like it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do, as a little reminder, I'm going to put this here bolt back in there like that. Okay. And let's put him over there. Let's take a light and let's take a look up in there now. Alright, now we got the spreader pin out, but now we're left with this here, what they call a spreader plug. Alright, now Volkswagen says to use an 8mm bolt. Screw it in there and then pull it out. So let's see how that'll work. Alright, here's my 8mm bolt. Okay. Now you're going to have to push the cable off to the side to get this here started. So let me see if we can get it started in there. Yeah, he seems to be going pretty good. Alright. Okay, for this, the head on this 13mm, let's screw them on up in there a little bit. Okay. Now, we're going to do the same thing. Let's see if we can't put him there. And let's see if we can't pop him out. Alright. Okay. And there is the other one. Okay. That's called the spreader plug, and the other one, of course, was the spreader pin. Alright. So now let's take and put him over there. Alright, now that we have the window separated from the regulator, we should be able to just raise the window up, and we'll just say tape it up in place up here at the top. Just using some painter's tape. Now if we have to take out the glass, and by golly we'll do that so we can get to this door lock assembly. Just whatever it takes. Let me do him like that. Alright, I think that'll hold them. Alright guys, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off these bolts. They're 10mm, there's 8 of them. They're just all around the perimeter. They're the gold looking ones. Alright, so to save you guys time not seeing me turning bolts, I'll catch you guys in the next shot. Guys, just so you can see, there's all the bolts. There's 8 of them. Okay. Alright guys, this is what we found down in the bottom. This here is part of this here bracket that holds the door lock assembly. Okay, so This part right here was down there, up underneath. So this is where it was. And so what we're doing is we're gonna lower it out, and let's see what we got. Why don't we just take this here grommet right here, and I'm just gonna fold them in, and let's just push him right on through. Okay, that's one of them. Alright guys, this is a shot of the connector going to the door lock module. Now there's a catch right over here. What you want to do is push it down, and then while you push it down, take it off. So there we go. Alright. Alright guys, let's take this linkage here loose. Alright, let's get this one here. Let's pull him out. Okay. Let's pull him out. And let's get this one right here. I'm just going to pull back on these little tabs. Come on here. Alright, he's out. And let's just take the grommet. Alright. Slide them on through. Okay, now we got a plastic bracket here that's on this here metal tab that's sticking out from the door for this here bundle of wires. Let's take and pull him off. Okay. I come here to this rubber boot. There's going to be two connectors in there. Get a screwdriver. And just wedge this here rubber boot back. Okay. Okay guys, here's the two connectors that I was talking about. Now there's a tab on each side of the connector. You see one's there, and then there's one on each side, on the other side of the connector. So to get a little bit of access to this, take a screwdriver, put it right in there. Just kind of pry this here plastic ring, get it worked back. That'll give you a little more access to get there to this connector. Alright guys, what I'm doing here, I got the front door open so I can get a little more access to the latch on the other side of this connector. Now what I did is I took a screwdriver and wedged down into the tab to keep it open. So I'm going to be over on this side, opening up this latch right here, and so we can pull that one out. Okay, again, I'm doing the same process. You see the screwdriver on the other side over there for the holding the latch open. I'm opening this one up, just working it out. Alright. So there's a little plastic ring, okay? Notice how it comes off. You see this different spacing here. This here gets closer, goes to the bottom. Now what we want to do now is we want to pass the connectors back through. So I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to try this one here first. Alright, there's one. There's the other one. And here is our door panel. Now some of you might be wondering about, well, couldn't you just take this loose and, you know, take the harness loose and all of this? Well, the answer to that is no. I tried that. And as you look right here, I actually took a little bit of this here tape, got it back. This connector will not pass back through this hole. Okay, so I went back, looked at the manual, reread it. Oh, okay. So they want you to come back over here, disconnect your connectors, pull them back, and then this is how you're supposed to take the thing out. So everything is all intact, you know. That one there has lifted itself up, so we got to get him back in there. Probably when I was working on the door, pulling it out. Alright, so that one doesn't stay. And that one doesn't stay, so I got to get a couple of fasteners there. Well, look, while we got it out, let me show you about this insert that y'all saw earlier. Here's a hole right here on each side of this here window regulator. you can see down in there, that's where the window will fit. Alright, like I said, there's a hole on each side. Now, on the forum, it looks like that these inserts is a common problem where they'll fall out. Then people will come back, get the insert, you know, they'll take the door regulator off, pull it out enough, and they'll grab it, and then they'll come back through here and stick it through. Well, they find out it's very difficult to get this thing through back in here. Now, some of them get them in there and they had success, and then some of them get them in there, and then the next day the thing will fall back out. Now, here's what Volkswagen recommends. What you do is you take the window, remember it has a hole drilled into the bottom, maybe about that far from the bottom, and this insert, you put your separator plug into the hole, then you take your separator pin, you stick that into the plug, squeeze them together, then you lower your window down while the regulator, of course, is bolted on there, and of course you might have it out just a little bit to kind of see, to line this thing up. So then when the window comes down, it's going to come down in between this groove, and then of course as when you put this insert in, there's a little bit of a projection on each side of the glass. So when it comes in, snap, snap, and it locks it in to right there. Now, let me say another thing too. You saw how I took this window regulator off. Well, that is not the procedure of how this comes off. As I mentioned earlier, here's my bracket for the door lock assembly. Now the door lock assembly is right back up in here. Now you can see that when this door regulator comes off, this here panel rather, the regulator's on there, this is mounted on there. So here's what you got to do according to Volkswagen. This here glass has got to come out. This has got to come out. That's got to come out. This here rubber tubing has got to come out. There's a frame rail right down in here that's bolted in here to keep this here door locked so it won't come out. So I guess that's why all of this has got to come out. Alright, so keep that in mind. You got to do all that to get this panel out. Another thing, you got to take the door handle off. You got to take the lock out. You got to take this here assembly, you have to unbolt it, and you do that, there's a couple of bolts over here. Now because of mine being broke here, I was able to get it out without doing all of that. Now, but to get this out, I'm going to, in the next video, I'm going to take, you know, we're going to go through the procedure. We're going to go ahead, we'll take the handle out, take the lock out, take this here door lock module out, assembly, but you can see it right now, you know, how this thing would actually come apart. So just keep that in mind. Just don't go in there, of course, and you know, you want to drill it out, drill your rivets out and put it back, but I don't recommend that. Do it just like they said. So anyway, that's a lot of work to do to take this glass out, molding, you know, all of this stuff just to get this out. See, I told you it was a whole lot more involved than just doing the one up on the driver's side. So anyway, I'm going to close this video out. Next video, we're going to start taking this out, and you know, probably have to take the glass out, take the molding out. We're just going to take it and see where we go with it. All right. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and you take care.